Okay, hello world. Hello everyone. My name is See, and I run a YouTube channel called Studio Decentral, and I have this little thinky co-working, co-living community called blockchain co-working, co-living community called Nonce over in Korea. And I am here today because we are embarking on a new journey, and we're starting this new show with two surprise guests. Guys, please introduce yourselves.
Sure. All right, I'll start. My name is Koji Higashi. I've been involved in the Bitcoin crypto space since 2014, a few years now. I've done a lot of media related stuff, including my own YouTube show in Japan. It's in Japanese, but yeah, I'm good friends with both Bobby and Seon, so wanted to do something together and talk about what's happening in Asia in general, crypto space in Asia. Yep.
All right, so my turn now. Hi everyone, my name is Bobby. I'm the co-founder of CoinGecko. So CoinGecko is a crypto data web aggregator. So we track crypto price, market cap, trading volume, developer stats, social media stats from 4,000 coins from over 300 exchanges. I got into the Bitcoin space in 2013 and started running CoinGecko from 2014. So CoinGecko is close to 5 years old right now. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Holy crap, you're half as old as Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, things move a lot.
Yeah. I remember CoinGecko in beta. At the time, the UI was not very polished, but I was like, well, that was one of the first websites I used as well, actually. So,
yeah, I think we stayed in beta for many years until we finally decided, okay, I think it's time we take off the beta tag.
Right. It was in beta for a while.
I think the inspiration came from Gmail. Like Gmail had the beta tag for a very long time before they took it off.
Oh, so you're gonna become like the Google of decentralization.
I hope so. We hope
hopefully.
So. Yeah.
Okay. So before, so we're starting the show, and I think Koji, since it was your idea to kind of do the show, can you kind of like tell the audience what the goals of the show, why we're doing this in the first place?
Sure. So one of the reasons is that I see a lot of people on Twitter and outside Japan saying like, oh, Japan's very progressive and their regulation of crypto is very good, etc. But in my opinion, that's not really the case, and there's a lot of issues surrounding regulation and what's happening in Japan now. And Japan's presence, like Japan was had better presence in 2017 in terms of trading volume, etc. But nowadays, it doesn't really have the presence it used to have. And you know, it has other issues as well, including taxes and slow development, etc. So I wanted to talk about that. So kind of clear up misconceptions that people have about Japan. And also wanted to ask questions about what's happening in Korea to Seon. And, you know, Bobby can also talk about market in general and maybe Malaysia and maybe in Singapore as well. So I thought it would be cool if we focus on this Asian markets in general and crypto in Asia. I don't see any other people doing that. Maybe they are. Yeah.
Then hopefully in the future, we'll get more and more people from Asia. And so we'll have a room full of like 40 people on this call.
I have some good friends from Hong Kong and, you know, some other countries in Asia as well. So we can invite them maybe and ask them what's happening in, you know, in their country, or, you know, what kind of projects are there and stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah. Surprisingly, not surprisingly, it's very hard to get information because, you know, Bitcoin used to be a thing where like only English speakers used to do it, right? And then now it's gotten to the point where each country faces its own regulation problems, and each country has its own projects, and there's different obstacles that are, you know, we're trying to create the internet of money, but surprisingly, there's a lot of offline stuff that happens in different countries that need to be coordinated and for us to like communicate and understand each other better. I thought that was kind of the goal that we were going towards.
Exactly. And I just wanted to have a fun conversation. I just want to make it, you know, fun, and like, you know, I started off my YouTube show because it was kind of fun, and I started off with my friend, and, you know, same spirit. Let's see.
Let's see how it goes.
All right, let's start.
So How should we start? I have a bunch of questions for Seon actually about Korea.
Okay.
Yeah, let's start off with the Bitthumb news.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, I'm sure you guys heard, but Biththumb's laying off about half of its employees. But the thing is, this isn't specific to Bitthumb, first of all. So this is actually happening across exchanges in Korea. There's been a lot of smaller exchanges that's obviously been shut down. But even Corbett, they've been in the process of laying off about 30 to 40% of their employees. That was like, from what I understand, it was management's fault. But this Bitthumb thing it's actually been ongoing for a couple of months, because when I met with friends of mine who work at Bitthumb, they've all been saying, like, in Asia, they don't tell you like you're fired. They recommend that you go find something else to do. So that's just been happening the whole time. And I think many people, were surprised with the numbers that were presented, right? So why do they only have 300 employees? And actually, the Bitthumb actually owns a whole building, so I'm sure it's much more than 300. And they've had several customer service locations around Korea, but a lot of those customer service locations are now shut down. So that's kind of like what's going on the ground here.
Is it because of the bear market, basically? So.
Yeah, it's because of the bear market, for sure. But okay. One thing is, so what these exchanges are doing is they're also trying to create other services. So Bitthumb has a whole bunch of suite of services that they're creating. I'm sure you guys saw, like, the STO stuff. They're kind of interested in security tokens. They're also trying to separate out. They have a organization called Pickthumb that they separated out, which is, so Bitthumb.
Like Kickstarter.
Yeah, Bitthumb is the one that lists, and then Pickthumb is the people that have the authority to do due diligence before they list. So these are separate legal entities. There's no holding company on the top or anything like that. Okay. So they're trying to do this thing to make it more like institution friendly, finance friendly, and other services like payment services, et cetera, hoping that those will give them some sort of cash flow other than what they've been doing with transaction fees from exchanges.
But Bitthumb still has a lot of trading volume. It's like number 1 or 2 in terms of trading volume, right?
Yeah, but you have to remember that trading volume is nothing compared to what they used to have.
Okay, right.
So when they were racking up the operation costs, right, as they were expanding,
right?
If you think about customer service people, like, that's not like having like 4 or 5 offices across Korea with tens of customer service agents. That's not a small operation.
Yeah, but it's the same in Japan. But a lot of, excluding minor exchanges, a lot of major exchanges in Japan seem to be doing fine. They're not going bankrupt. So I don't know what the difference is between Japanese exchanges and Korean exchanges, because Japanese exchanges trading volume is even less than the Korean exchanges. So,
but I think maybe it has to do something with the fact that we don't know if this volume is actually legit or is wash trading, right?
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah. Is it legit? Is it not?
I think for Korea, the exchanges are not regulated, so Japanese exchanges are regulated, so they can't really do all these sort of things. But in Korea, right. I think it's like less regulated, and I think there's a lot more exchanges in Korea than in Japan. At CoinGecko, we keep seeing a lot of new exchanges coming out from Korea. So maybe Seon can share some light. Besides Bitthumb and all these new exchanges in Korea.
Yeah, I think that's like, people think it's just an easy business to get into, or there's this thought that, like, if you are gonna do anything related to blockchain, the first business you need to do is an exchange, because that'll bring that constant flow of cash, and then you can go off and do something else. Right. So what used to be centralized has actually dissipated a lot. Obviously, each of these exchanges have different strategies. They all have their own tokens. They all have their trans fee mining algorithms, and pretty much I think many of the traders in Korea, they're not really loyal to a single exchange. So whatever exchange is pumping, they go there and they pump the hell out of whatever is happening there. So that's just what I've seen.
Okay. What do you mean? What do you mean the Korean traders are not loyal? Meaning they want to go to an exchange where there's an exchange-based token that can pump in price, and they want to move over to the exchange.
Yeah. So the trans fee mining exchange thing is interesting, right? Because it's like the ICO for exchanges. Right. ICOs were used in order to bootstrap projects, right? And now trans fee mining is used to bootstrap exchanges, like younger exchanges. And so if there's a better deal on the other side of town, then like opening up a bank account isn't that difficult. So they'll do that, and then they'll eat they'll make some gains, and then they'll just exit from that. They'll switch that all into crypto or Korean won, and then pull out, and then go to another place and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually heard. Oh, sorry. I've actually heard that there are groups that are specifically focused, at least in Korea, specifically focused on just going after trans fee mining exchanges.
Okay. So trans fee mining exchanges are common in Korea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just one more thing, and I know this gets into like the dark side of like legal things, but
okay,
there's still a lot of scams. There's still quite a lot of scams. Yeah. And so what these scams used to do was they used to hire like developers from developing countries that were relatively cheap, and then they would ask them to build out these exchange engines, right? But you build out this exchange engine only to have it like sputter and fail. So what they do is, even if they have a complete scam coin, they're trying to buy some like white label exchange engine, and then they're trying to launch it that way. So I've seen those kind of actions throughout the months too.
How does exchanges, or maybe exchanges don't care, but the government try to fight against scams? So that's interesting what's happening in Korea. A lot of things like that don't happen in Japan because of regulation. You cannot really add scam coins to licensed exchanges in Japan anymore. And you cannot even do trade mining because it's still kind of a new thing. So the Japanese government still cannot really figure it out. So it's not okay for Japanese exchanges to issue their own token and do trans fee mining and stuff like that. So is there any countermeasure for scams? Or because I see a lot of Korean exchanges list just so many coins.
Yeah.
Compared to Japanese exchanges who can list only like, maybe 10 or up to like 15 coins max, because there's a white list of coins that exchanges need to adhere to in Japan.
Yeah, so I think in order to understand this, you have to understand there's two types of exchanges in Korea. I'll say like there's the official exchanges and there's the unofficial exchanges. So like the official exchanges, what they have is there's these things called virtual accounts in Korea. So Korea is one of those countries where you could pretty much open up you could open up a crypto account, an account at an exchange in about 5 to 10 minutes. But you could do it very quickly. But the way it happens is each major bank is able to issue virtual accounts, right? So virtual bank accounts within their bank that allows crypto traders to like have their to put in their KRW and then to pull out, right? But the thing is, a lot of these new exchanges, the unofficial exchanges, what they're doing is they just use their company bank account. So without having virtual account for every single customer, they just use one company bank account. And then what people will do is they'll put their KRW into this bank account, and then they'll reflect it back onto the database. Right? So a lot of these scams and whatever are all using the second method that I was talking about. All the major exchanges with the virtual bank accounts and stuff, whether it be privacy, whether it be people being insured, like all of those things are guaranteed. But it's the second type that's really popping up. And in terms of regulation and the government crackdown, they've just recently started going after scams.
Okay.
But honestly, it's so hard. It's so hard to go after. I mean, they just started, so they're like completely new to this too.
Right.
It's like a cat and mouse game, right? The government goes after one, 10 more comes out, and then you're always trying to play catch up.
Yeah. And honestly, like there are so many more important issues in crypto. Like scams aren't the only important thing, right? But I remember like if there are shining beacons of light, like these crypto are like legit stuff, then people will be attracted to that. But right now with the bear market, people don't really know what they should be investing in or what they shouldn't be investing in. So that I think they're just interested to make a quick buck.
True. I mean, even Coinbase seems to be adding a lot of coins nowadays, like very aggressive.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised to see that Coinbase adding a lot of these small altcoins these days. It almost seems like, Binance added a lot of coins and Coinbase feels that they have to add more to kind of compete against Binance these days. Otherwise, Binance is going to run away with the crown.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Agreed.
Seon, is ICO legal these days in Korea? At one point, I remember regulators wanted to ban all ICOs in Korea, and then I think they made a U-turn on it at some point.
Oh yeah, like a couple of years ago, I remember.
Yeah, ICOs. I need to check, but what they did, what the law exactly did was actually it put ICOs under crowdfunding. You have to understand that's what the law did. So there was a maximum cap that you could make with crowdfunding, but they increased this maximum cap, right?
Okay.
So that people are incentivized to crowdfund and use this legal framework that existed instead of going off and doing ICOs.
Okay.
And even now, like I honestly I can't tell if ICOs are legal anymore because there hasn't been an ICO for a long time. I haven't heard of.
Market's really solved. It's pretty much dead, the ICO market.
But if I think of like projects like Terra, they had their public ICO, but the ICO wasn't open to the Korean public. So better safe than sorry. People are just not touching it with the 10-foot pole. Just one more thing. With the exchanges thing, what I've noticed is I don't know if you guys noticed this, but has the relationship between exchanges and tokens like kind of changed over the past couple of months. Meaning like a long time ago, it was the coins that were knocking on the doors of the exchanges wanting to get listed. But nowadays it feels like it's changed where the exchanges are going after coins that are pumping and then asking them to be on. Is it just in Korea or is it the same everywhere else?
Different in Japan because of regulation. It's the same. The exchanges want to add more coins desperately in order to compete against other exchanges or other global exchanges like Binance, right? Because, for example, EOS is very popular globally and it has decent trading volume, right? But in Japan, none of the Japanese exchanges can add EOS yet. So if Japanese users want to trade EOS, they have to go to Binance and other exchanges, right? So yeah, exchanges are the ones who definitely want to add coins, but the process is very difficult in Japan. It's not easy. You have to submit like list of criteria, what this coin's about, etc. And nobody knows yet what the process is like and how they evaluate each coin, etc. So
I'm going to add to that. I think there's two kinds. So it depends on what sort of exchanges. Those big exchanges, if you are Binance or one of the big exchanges, I guess the coins will still knock on your door. But if you are a small exchange, like there's no reason for a coin to knock on your door, you probably would want to go out and try to acquire the coins to be on your platform because liquidity begets liquidity, right? And it's hard to go against the big exchanges because they will get all the liquidity. If you're a small exchange, like it's always a question of how do you differentiate yourself, how do you grow? So I think at the moment, like a lot of exchanges are charging coins to get listed, and some of them have ridiculously high listing fees, up to 6 figures or so. I don't think that's really sustainable in the long run. In fact, with so many new exchanges being created, and as we can see in Korea, it actually makes sense if you will. I would go as far as to say that it probably makes sense for exchanges to pay coins to get listed on their exchange because if you are the first exchange or the second exchange to be listed to list that coin, you get to get all the coins community members to trade on your exchange, and then you get to make money from the transaction fees that you make. So instead of charging coins to get listed on your exchange, you should probably pay the coin teams to come and get listed on your exchange.
Yeah, definitely.
But the thing is, they're not going to say that, right? That's not a viable business model.
Yeah.
So what you would say instead is, hey, we thought your project was pretty cool. Here's like a discount. We'll give you we'll list you at a discounted rate.
Yeah.
But this kind of goes back to another thing. Like you're talking about Binance, but even Binance is the same with this Launchpad, don't you think? Like Binance has to seek out projects that are gonna drive more users to Binance, and so it's projects that have a strong user base. I know they were trying to reach out to some projects in Korea that had a strong, like a unique user base, and they wanted to onboard all those users to come to Binance and trade. It just seems that the day of exchanges just endlessly getting new inflow of users is over, and they need to figure out some creative ways to onboard new users.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good idea to have a high quality launchpad, do an initial exchange offering, get more new users onboarded. I think what a lot of these exchanges are trying to recreate is to recreate the golden days of ICO from one and a half year ago, and try to create FOMO in the market. I think what Binance is doing with Launchpad is great. So they keep their quality very high, and then it moves on from there. But I think it will be interesting to see all the other exchanges are trying to do their own Launchpad at this point in time. It will be interesting to see what the others are doing in the next couple of months. But I mean, from observation, there's two kinds of exchanges. Some exchanges are just doing the Launchpad to get, like what you said, high quality projects to onboard new users. I think some exchanges are looking at it the other way around. They just want to have Launchpad and IEO just to get more money from listing fees. So
yeah,
short term is good, but long term, I don't know.
So yeah. I've seen the craziest stuff being done on Korean exchanges. One of the things I saw was a SAFT of a SAFT. So yeah, so what they did was there's a SAFT that's obviously given to a particular fund or individual, right?
Yeah.
And this guy signs an NDA with the smaller exchange to trade portions of that SAFT on that exchange. And so the project is absolutely furious, right? They're asking this exchange to shut down. It's basically an IOU out of an IOU. They're asking these guys to shut it down. But then from the point of the exchange, it's like, hey, we're offering this new product that's not sold on the market. Even if it's an IOU out of an IOU, we can still promise that these people are going to end up with these tokens. So what's the problem? So there's all these like weird things that are happening.
It almost sounds like you're describing Cosmos. Because Cosmos just got started trading, and like technically all those tokens are not tradable yet. Cosmos it's IOUs. It's really funny, like all these Cosmos tokens being traded. It's very traded a lot in Korean exchanges. It's funny.
Already? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all this IOU for Cosmos is mostly on Korean exchanges, except for Bitforex, which is trading at around $12, whereas the Korean exchanges are trading around $6-7.
Yeah, I think the Cosmos though, I think the trading action is really hilarious, and like the fact that they're trading IOUs is really funny. But at least in Korea, the Cosmos ecosystem, it's pretty strong, and people have been really looking forward to it. There's all these different players. I think we might be involved in it in some way in terms of like SDK education or something. But there's all these projects, and each player knows their role. And I mean, it's been in the making for how long? So you better be ready. You better have learned from all the mistakes of all the previous communities that came before.
Yeah, I think the Cosmos token they did ICO about a year and a half ago, I think, and then I mean the tokens are still not tradable. I mean they're not transferable. The IOUs are tradable right now, but it's been a long time waiting for all the ICO holders. They can't even liquidate their coins if they want to and lock in the profits. Pretty funny, like all the Cosmos guys in the Telegram group saying like, oh, these tokens they're not tradable yet. These are all IOUs. Our tokens are not tradable yet. And all these people are going around trading all this Cosmos IOU already.
Yeah, because their mainland launch, I believe, is like the 29th of March or something.
Oh, but it's very soon.
Yep.
Okay. What other coins are popular in Korea? Because I wanted to ask you, say this is a trading volume of Bitthumb, and why is Dash so popular in Korea or at Bitthumb?
Bro, I don't even know.
Or Monero, you know, like
Well, you know Monero,
popular, right?
you know, okay, well, okay. So Monero, you should understand that Bitthumb is the only major exchange that's listed Monero, and about 99% of all Monero volume comes out from Bitthumb anyways.
Really?
I didn't
Yeah,
know.
if you go check go check it out.
Go check Monero and exchanges.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. There aren't major exchanges.
That's true. Korean ones. Yeah,
exactly.
number one.
So the reason this is the whole regulation issue, right?
Mhm.
Because Monero has anonymity by default, and so what law-abiding exchange would list Monero? Right?
Bitthumb.
Yeah. So that was like kind of a shape that happened before. Like, I don't know if they would do it if they were given the chance now.
Yeah.
But now, if you are gonna list some sort of coin with privacy features, then you need to kind of like figure out what you're gonna do with the regulators.
So, by the way, in Japan, basically all those privacy coins are banned. Not really banned, but the government didn't explicitly say those are the reasons. But CoinGecko before used to list Dash, Monero, and Zcash, I think, and all of them got removed from
Holy
their
shit,
listing.
really?
Yeah. So it's basically the reason, because it's very hard to track and do accounting for those coins, and the exchanges don't want to be responsible for that as well. So no privacy coins in Japan. Probably it's gonna stay the case for a while.
Besides Bitthumb listing privacy coins, are there other exchanges in Korea listing privacy coins?
No, there are some. I think there might be some with Zcash, but even then, like they are like like Zuko is visiting Korea for the economy, right? On April, I think he's gonna try to talk with a lot of exchanges over here.
What's Populous? Man, there are some coins I have never even heard of. Wax?
Yeah, Wax. And so another thing that's happening in Korea is actually in regards to crypto games. So that Engine, Wax, all of those are game related things, right? So
I see.
In Korea, a lot of game developers have started looking into blockchain. I think we're gonna try to take the crypto game narrative in Korea, and a lot of these guys are actually building on EOS.
Interesting.
Yeah. So EOS, I think the reason they use it is because of the developer experience. And one of the things I'm realizing is, people don't like the decentralization thing. I mean, I think we're all like, we've been in the scene. All of us have been in the scene long enough where we like Bitcoin and like the decentralization that it offers. But I think these new people that are coming in, they just want to create something that offers them like very easy developer experience, and they can like query, and it just feels like an SQL or something that they've used before. So I'm seeing all of these guys just flock over to EOS, regardless of whether there is blockchain bloat in EOS or whether the 21 BPs like are, whether they collude or not collude. So that's just something that's happening. So Engine was one of the tokens, and this is just gonna connect, but Engine is another one of those tokens that were listed on the Samsung S10.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then Engine's price just shot up like crazy this past couple weeks or something, right?
Yeah, all of the coins or the projects that were listed on Samsung S10 like shot up. So Engine, I'm sure you guys heard of like Cosmo Coin.
Cosmo?
Oh yes, I remember.
What's Cosmo Coin?
The cosmetic one, right? The cosmetic coin from Korea.
Yeah.
I remember one day in office, I think about 1.5 weeks ago or so on Friday, and then we start seeing, why is there so much interest in this Cosmos coin? Like, I remember reading about, I remember this deal was being passed around like 6 months ago, and then I saw it's a cosmetic coin. Like, I don't know anything about cosmetics. Like,
are we not supposed to ask why we need coin for cosmetics, or?
It's those loyalty points, man.
Okay. I mean, well, Samsung supports it, so Must be good, legit.
I think the people over at Engine, I think the people over at Cosmos, I think some of those guys that are listed on the Samsung S10, they must have like god level business developers. I want to hire those business developers because I don't know how they got on there, but they
wait. It's called Cosmo.
Yeah, Cosmo.
Okay, that kind of
Cosmo Coin, COSM.
Something funny. In Japan before, the literacy was so low that so Augur's coin name is REP, so REP, right? And Ripple's XRP, but some people consider like RRIP, right? And when there's good news about Ripple came out, Augur price for some reason went up.
People are different though, Ripple and Augur.
Yeah, exactly. Rep is like a Ripple coin, right? So that was kind of the level of understanding before, but maybe some people are buying because it sounds like Cosmos or something.
I think it's the reverse. I think people are buying Cosmos because it sounds like Cosmo.
Really? Oh my God.
I don't know. It might be that's more likely. In my opinion, that's much more likely.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's all traded on the Korean exchanges as well. So I guess it's possible that people get confused Cosmo Coin and Cosmos.
Cosmos, yeah.
Either way, you're going to the moon.
It's possible.
Yeah. I think, and this position that these companies are taking, and in yesterday or today, there was another announcement by Kakao Talk. So for people that don't know, Kakao is basically a messenger that about like 99% of all Koreans use, and they have a subsidiary company called GroundX that was developing a blockchain called Clayton. So Clayton recently, Kakao, the relationship between Kakao and GroundX has kind of been weird, but I guess now with Samsung signaling that they want to create, basically they want to be a dApp store, right? They want to be similar to Google App Store or Apple Store. They want to be the dApp store, and they want to bless these different coins as they get listed on their dApp store. And so Kakao has made a move to they said they would have a cryptocurrency wallet, and then also LG is looking into onboarding a cryptocurrency wallet on their next suite of smartphones. So that's kind of just some of the things that's happening here.
I think it's a very interesting dynamics now, because if you look at the crypto space, like maybe 6 months ago, like a lot of people were very interested to create crypto wallets. So you have people like the Trust wallet, and then you have the Coinbase wallet. Binance has acquired Trust, and then Coinbase has acquired this now known as Coinbase wallet. And then now we see there's a lot of guys doing wallets as well, IM token and all status. But what we see is that the hardware guys are actually coming in on board to create wallets. The browser guys are coming to create wallets. So if you look at Opera, they already have a wallet and they have their own dApp stores. You see Samsung having their own wallets and their app store. You see LG coming in with their wallets and app store. Man, this is so interesting because the small guys, like the small wallet developers, are going to have to compete against the big hardware manufacturers, the big browser operators. It's going to be really interesting trying to see how these guys compete and see where they can find a niche within this space.
Yeah. Definitely. And then for the big guys, their user acquisition cost is basically zero.
Right.
Oh yeah. Because it comes pre-installed with the phone, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I know. At the same time, I've seen Exodus from HTC, like first blockchain phone, right? And they have their own wallet, pre-installed, etc. But the wallet, I tried it out a little bit, but it was not very good, to be quite honest. So I don't know if people actually use the pre-installed wallet versus it's easy to install I'm token or whatever, other wallets from App Store. So personally, something like Samsung and LG definitely has advantages, but doesn't really mean they will definitely win, because the first blockchain phone to me was not really very good, because it was just a CryptoKitty and their wallet installed. The wallet was not very good. And they can store private key in their safe, secure environment and stuff. But that's about it. And you can do most of the stuff without having a blockchain phone, right?
Yeah, so that kind of leads to like another question I have, which is actually about hardware wallets.
Mm-hmm.
So with the slew of these phones coming out, like Samsung with their Nonce, it's just like it's like a trusted execution environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like secure enclave where you can run cryptocurrency and stuff. With them, what do you think is going to happen to companies like Trezor or Ledger? Or I mean, and the whole idea of like being sovereign over your own money.
I think there will always be a space for Trezor and Ledger. I mean, a phone is still a phone. You run a lot of things on that phone. I mean, there's always a way. I don't know. Maybe you still don't feel as secure. I mean, even though it's an isolated environment, I mean, some people may still be paranoid and it could penetrate. I'm not so sure, but I think there will always be a single use case for Ledger and Trezor. I think in this space.
But I guess the question is for who, right?
It depends how much. I mean, if you're storing like a small amount of crypto, like I mean, less than $500, $100 or $500, I guess a phone works well because it's convenient enough. You don't have to carry an extra device on your with you. But I guess if you're storing large amount, then like a hardware wallet might be useful. But if you're storing super large amount, then you need like more secure solutions to cut off those private keys and store them in cold storage across several locations in the world. I guess a good similarity you can take and compare like a camera. Like, I mean, those days a DSLR versus a handphone camera, right? Like if you just need a camera to point and shoot and take some picture for day-to-day activity, like a phone will normally work. But if you need like super high resolution image, you still need a DSLR. So I guess that may be a good analogy to compare.
Yeah, but I just wonder about like the reason I ask about like the target audience is this kind of let's talk about institutional investors as well. So custodian services are like the hot thing. Everybody wants to launch their own custodian service, and you can imagine like if I am a buyer at a hedge fund XYZ, why in the world would I store my own hold my own private keys? Why in the hell would I have it on like Trezor or Ledger and feel secure about it, right? It's just they've never done anything like that before. They much rather have a custodian hold it and then trade their Bitcoin that way. So I think depending on the needs of the target audience, like that's where the hardware wallet thing is coming from, because it's for early adopters. I think hardware wallets are a great choice.
I agree with Bobby in general that Trezor and Ledger won't go away. First of all, they have now different services as well. Ledger's doing their own custodial service as well for professional traders like that. And the second thing is casual users. First of all, they probably won't buy blockchain phones, and maybe it will be the de facto like standard in the future. But at the same time, I don't feel comfortable like saving, keeping my life-saving amount on a Samsung phone, although I understand it's technically like secure, right? Because if someone asks me like, beat me up and like, hey, just, just open up the phone and, send me your coins, and I'll be scared about that as well. So I'm, having a separate device probably will have some kind of niche at least. And a lot of users probably just keep their coins on exchanges. It's another thing, right? So even if Samsung just releases something very secure, it doesn't really mean people will just go buy it, is my opinion, probably.
Yes, so another thing about Korea is I don't think people care about decentralization.
No. Same in Japan, right? Same in Japan. People don't care. People leave most of their coins on exchanges, right? They never move their coins on chain. Well, many of them, at least.
Yeah, I think most people just care about making money, right? How can I make more money? Right. Which coin next?
Yeah.
But I think what Samsung and LG is doing, with putting a wallet into each phone, I think is very interesting, because if you look into the future and imagine like every single phone, not a special blockchain phone, but every single phone that is shipped to the world comes with a blockchain, a crypto wallet pre-installed. That would be very interesting. It's kind of like saying like every phone that gets shipped comes with a browser pre-installed.
Right.
Like And then like that wallet that comes pre-installed is like your decentralized app browser that you can use to browse all the different apps in the decentralized world. I think it will be very interesting and will increase adoption like a lot. Then you have to see like how to get people to use, because you still need to acquire your first Bitcoin or Ethereum or EOS or Tron before you can start using any of these dApps. But I think that time when most phone manufacturers come shipping their phones with a wallet, I think you will see it sooner rather than later, and it will be very interesting.
I agree, and I also maybe could be maybe 2 years or maybe more distant future, but I'm kind of expecting phones come with like a Bitcoin full node pre-installed or something. Lightning node, right? And you can start earning some micro fees by playing games or whatever. And that type of integration would be very, very exciting and interesting to me. But like just wallet pre-installed is not really good enough for me. Like if it's a full node pre-installed, that's a completely different game, in my opinion.
I think this also speaks a lot about the user experience, because if you say like what Bitcoin application has the best user experience as of now, I think it's Cash App, that Jack Dorsey created, right? Because it's #1 on the App Store. And like the funny thing is, it's not meant for Bitcoin in the first place, but like it just happens to have that feature in there, and that through that it just onboards so many people. And so yeah, kind of like what you said, it's like like a lot of these onboarding has to happen by default. Like people shouldn't know that they're using something decentralized or they're using something that's really difficult for them to access. A lot of this stuff just comes shipped with it, and they use it just like any other app that they've always used.
Agree.
But I think the crypto wallets in the phone, I don't know what that means for regulation, because that really does mean people are just going to carry a whole bunch of money with them borderless. What are you going to do at the TSA, right? Are you going to make them take out their phone, and are you going to check their crypto wallet?
Is there any incident in Korea that like some, I don't know, rich traders or something like get kidnapped and get their coins stolen or something? Seems to me it happens in Russia all the time. So I'm scary stuff.
But this world is a scary place, man. It wasn't about a crypto trader, but recently what happened on the news is there was a super famous scammer in Korea, and this guy liquidated all his assets and he moved overseas. But after he liquidates, what he does is he shoots out all his money to different people, and I think he gave it to his parents because like he could receive it as an inheritance from his parents, which makes it like some form of money laundering and stuff. But then his parents were found murdered.
What?
Very recently. So this is tied in with identity, right?
Oh
the
my
whole
God.
reason behind like people being able to like kidnap others and stuff is because you think your digital identity is safe when it's actually not.
That is scary, man.
That's scary.
Yeah, whether it be a bank account or whether it be money in bank account or like crypto that you're holding by yourself, like you gotta be careful with the OPSEC stuff.
Okay, so let's move to different topics, I guess.
Yeah.
Any other questions for each other or something that we haven't talked about yet? It's been fun for me. A lot of questions and interesting conversations.
I want to ask about, so we could talk about other countries now, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask about like just what's happening in regulation in other countries.
Sure. I'll talk about Japan. I mean, I've already touched on it a little bit, but in Japan, there's at least in my opinion, I mean, some people disagree, but in my opinion, regulation in Japan is not very crypto friendly per se, because of the whitelist system that we have. So exchanges cannot add new coins that easily. The other is ICOs are practically banned. No ICOs. If you are doing an ICO, it's kind of considered as STO basically, so securities. At least that's my understanding, right? So no adding new coins. Well, not no, but difficult to add new coins. So less freedom for exchanges. And then after two major exchange hacks in Japan, CoinGecko and Zaif, the regulation and enforcement of regulation became much, much more strict. So exchanges in Japan are now more like banks rather than like, technology-driven crypto companies. So kind of old-timer, OG Bitcoiners and OG crypto exchange founders got kind of kicked out and because their exchange got hacked or they didn't comply to the KYC ML regulation and stuff like that. So the landscape in Japan is becoming more and more like of the regular finance industry to me. So that's one. So in that sense, it's not very progressive. The other is tax rate in Japan is very, very unfavorable for traders. So max tax rate in Japan is 55%. So that's way too much.
For crypto is 55%?
Max, right?
Holy shit.
That's one of the reasons I don't actively trade in Japan.
That's high.
It's really high, right? It just, feels stupid. I mean, if I win, I have to pay like half of it. If I lose, I get nothing. So
you can't get tax losses credits against it.
So tax is kind of bad. And, there are some people who are working on it and trying to lower the tax rate because obviously it's not going to be sustainable. The other thing is, payment processing. So this is also related to how tax works in Japan for crypto. But if you make a Bitcoin transaction, Bitcoin payment, for example, technically you have to record everything, all the transactions you made for Bitcoin transactions and calculate what was the price you bought this Bitcoin and, the price of Bitcoin when you made a payment and then report it to the, tax authority basically. So it sucks. It basically kills the, Bitcoin as a payment use case. So a lot of stuff like that, to me, Japan's didn't do a very good job protecting the industry, in my opinion, at least. Any other questions? Yeah.
It's funny how you say all these things because I always thought that Japan is one of the most progressive ones, like you mentioned. Like a lot of people view Japan as one of the most progressive jurisdiction. I guess it comes to the fact that Japan was one of the first country to put in place exchange regulation.
Right.
And everyone else, when China banned crypto, Japan came out with exchange regulation. Everyone thought Japan is pretty progressive, but I guess it's pretty tough to operate in Japan.
Yeah, progressive because we are the first one, right? So I don't know why Japan didn't wait because usually Japan's more conservative and didn't want to be the first one to regulate new things, right? Just wait and see what other countries do. But for crypto, for some reason, Japan was like the first one. So now we're kind of paying the price and everybody else is kind of watching what's happening in Japan and see how they should treat ICOs or how they should regulate crypto in general. For example, say when Bitcoin forks, because of the whitelist criteria, exchanges cannot add Bitcoin SV, for example, because it's technically an altcoin, new coin, right? Forked off from Bitcoin Cash, and it's not listed on the whitelist. So exchanges now, users kind of demand, hey, where is our coin, basically, but exchanges are not allowed to give out fork coins and stuff like that. So regulation's not really suitable for what's happening in the space now because it's been 2 years now, 2-year-old, the regulation, the law itself is 2 years old and technology and landscape of this industry is changing quickly, but so it kind of sucks.
So I think, and what do you think, Koji? Do you think there's also like a macroeconomic factor to why Japan moves so quickly to pass regulation? This is dealing with like negative interest rates.
Possible, but I don't think so. It was more about at the time there were just too many scams rampant in Japan, and government needed to do something about it. Is my belief, at least.
My hypothesis is this. Tell me if I'm wrong. So
yeah.
Mount Gox was operational in Japan, and then it went bankrupt in 2014. So the Japanese lawmakers had to do something about it from 2014. So they were not sure what to do for 2014, 2015, 2016, and they decided, okay, finally we have 2 to 3 years to study what Bitcoin is about, and then like, okay, let's finally regulate exchanges. So a situation like Mt. Gox doesn't happen again. That's my hypothesis.
Actually, that's a very good point, and that might be actually right. And Mt. Gox happened in Japan, took place in Japan in 2013 to 2014, right?
Yep.
And that basically killed the Bitcoin's reputation in Japan, and regulator lost their faith, basically. Well, at the time, Bitcoin was unknown to most Japanese people, but so maybe regulator, lawmaker was thinking, okay, we cannot screw this up anymore. We have to protect customers, and we have to have like right regulation for exchanges, right? Maybe that was the thinking. And then they tried to do it. And after regulation was enacted, actually major hacks happened after that. So the regulator really lost their face again. And like now they're trying to just clamp on everything. And exchanges need to report everything to the regulator. Can we do this? Can we not do that? So right now it's very, very strict.
I mean, the other point of view to look at is that Japan regulators had a head start to start learning about Bitcoin from 2014, 2015, whereas other regulators only started looking actively from 2017 onwards. So they're still studying how to put in place regulations, whereas Japan had already been drafting regulations from 2015 and 2016.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. So yeah, it's oh, good. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, considering the regulation, doesn't seem to me they had a very good understanding of how Bitcoin works or how, cryptocurrencies more in general work. So,
you can't really fault the regulators because things move really quickly. If you think about Bitcoin forks, there wasn't really a fork in the crypto space until 2017 or so. We had the first major fork was the Ethereum Classic fork.
Right.
And then we had the Bitcoin Cash fork. And then I think in 2018, then we have like a dozen other forks from Bitcoin.
Right.
But before that, it wasn't really popular. Forks were not a common thing. And then exchanges didn't really have to deal with forks if you think about it from 2016 or so.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a very difficult task. I wouldn't want to be a regulator myself. I don't know what would be the right regulation, right? It's very difficult. And things change so quickly. But seems to me they just rushed things a little bit for Japan this time, and because of that, there's a lot of restrictions and not a lot of freedom for crypto exchanges and other businesses, unfortunately. So that's my take on the situation.
It's my observation that in terms of restrictiveness, China and Japan actually took the exact same stance, right? So shutting everything down or making sure everything stops, and then you slowly see if you can soften things.
Yeah, but China's case, Chinese government can soften things up. Well, maybe not as they wish, but they can do it quickly.
But yeah, they fluctuate like this, right?
Yeah, ban on exchanges is lifted. It's okay now, right? But in Japan, if they want to change the law, it takes a long time, right? It takes a long time to change the law now. So maybe it takes a few years. So, to me, they made a bad move in terms of regulation, unfortunately. But that's just my opinion, right? There's some good points as well. Like, not too many ICO scams in Japan anymore. No, not a lot of scam coins listed on exchanges because they can't. They have to report to the authority. So there are some good things, of course, but it's not like it's the best regulation in the world. That it's very progressive.
In Japan, they started forming a self-regulatory body among the exchanges, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Want to know about it? It's just kind of political. We had like two major industry associations, two different groups basically. And they're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, they're like kind of fighting against each other. They're like hating on each other. Things happen, right? And recently, finally, they just got united, or they just, turned into like one united organization or association or whatever. And they help the regulator determine which coins can be added or not and stuff like that. Recently, they also released data for spot trading volume for each coin or stuff like that. So they're doing some good job recently. So now we know like we have about 50% of market share for Bitcoin, 40% for XRP in Japan, which is quite high. stuff like that. So they're playing their role, but it was kind of messy before. Now they're like starting to be functional finally.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up these regulatory bodies or these associations, because we see something similar in Korea too. Like basically at the end of the day, all these guys are, or at least when they're all fighting against each other and they all have their interests.
Yeah.
There's like the miners with the miners,
Yeah.
miners association and the exchange association.
I know.
The blockchain startups association, and they all have different agendas that they want to push.
Yep.
But I guess my question here is for like other countries, like I know like Sokoji, you talked about it, but like, are there lobbyists and NGOs in other countries?
Other countries? Right.
Yeah. Bobby, are there any in where you guys are at?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the same, not just in Korea or Japan. Like all these countries will have some sort of fintech association or blockchain association, and these guys are all trying to steer regulation in a certain direction to make it to make it better for the industry to operate. I know in Singapore there's two big bodies. One is Access, and then the other one is Singapore Fintech Association. Yeah, so all these guys they're trying to why there's two associations, I don't know as well. But yeah, everyone's trying. It's the same for Malaysia as well. There's Access Malaysia, and then all trying to lobby to get some regulations done in a certain way, of course.
I guess my question is, are these lobbying groups or these associations who lobby, or NGOs, are they useful?
That's a good question. So in Japan's case, those associations are made up of mostly exchanges. That's why regulation, turned up a way like that. Like the regulation in Japan assumes all the crypto businesses in Japan are mostly exchanges. Right, so that's why the regulation. So if we are doing anything, so for example, if we want to do a DEX, decentralized exchange project in Japan, and you build a wallet and DEX built in that, right? You have to get a same license as other exchanges, because you're providing an interface to trading, right? So that's one of the reasons, is because the lobbying group was mostly made up of exchanges, right? So of course they're like trying to protect their own interests, and like, Bitcoin or crypto is kind of like this, and this is how they trade on exchanges. So it's all about trading in exchanges, right? So I think that's what happened in Japan, partly. But again, I'm not the lawmaker too much, because it's difficult to listen to everybody.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's like a different way to go about it. Meaning, so there's Coin Center in the US, which does a pretty good job of uniting.
Coin Center is great. They have great articles and
But what I'm so impressed by them is how much they can get all these different interest groups like under them and supporting them. If you go look at their about page, there's like VCs, exchanges, payment service providers. There's like law, like people in academia dealing with law, like political science. There are just a lot of different projects, like independent blockchain projects, and they've set out like 5 policies that are very neutral, that everybody, in some ways, that affects everybody across the board. And I'm just thinking, like, why doesn't that happen? And at least in Korea, that's not happening, right? It's a specific interest group.
Right. My guess is that the exchanges are the one that have the biggest to win or the biggest to lose, because they make the most money from any of these transactions. So, I mean, forming these regulatory bodies is not free. I mean, it costs money, and the exchanges are the one that have money to fund these organizations and all, and they have the most. And all these different exchanges want to be part of this group so that they can go talk to the government. Whereas if you are like a DEX or a wallet operator, you probably don't have as much clout or funding to go and talk to the regulators. Again, I'm not so sure if I'm correct, but I guess in the US, maybe these guys, I don't know, form a body earlier on and manage to put the different interests aside for the betterment of the industry.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it all comes down to money, I guess. You need some money to just start more neutral NGO. And if we have a choice, if we are very knowledgeable in the space, you have a choice to work for exchanges or work for this NGO or lobby group, might be a tough decision for a lot of people, actually. Yeah. And similar type of issues, I see similar types of issues in Japan as well. A lot of good developers and good people actually work for exchanges because they are the best funded. They have most money, right?
It's capitalism. I mean.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that's the other thing. Since exchanges are not the only entities, but they are the ones who have most money basically in Japan. Other projects didn't really grow. It's mostly about trading and exchanges. And nowadays we have a little bit more diverse projects in Japan, but until like 2018 or something, it was all exchanges. Not many people are working on any other projects, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very different than Korea, because we have like, it's not just exchanges, or at least the exchanges are suffering right now. We could talk about
interesting. Yeah.
Oh, so my question is, so what's happening with NFTs, like from a regulation standpoint in Japan? Because I know a lot of the stuff that's happening. Right. You guys are also with games, right? But it's like, what's the difference between NFT as opposed to like cryptocurrency?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And NFT is kind of an exception right now because it's not really a coin, right? It's more like a collectible. So the FSA, the regulator, is making an exception for NFT at the moment. So if you are doing an NFT game, you can sell NFT game items to users, kind of like ICO. So right now it's okay. But I think once some bad guys start taking advantage of the situation, maybe they have to ban that as well, because you can do practically an ICO using NFT as well, right?
So. Yeah, and I think it'll be very interesting to watch the NFT space because the ICO market is pretty dead. So I think it won't. If people will start doing as like a ICO, a fundraising by selling NFT tokens,
right,
in the space this year. So
there's actually one famous NFT game in Japan now called My Crypto Heroes, and it's actually one of the most used crypto game right now on the Ethereum network. They have the most users, more active users, more than CryptoKitties and others.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very popular. And seeing the success of that game, I know there are some other people working on NFT games now as well in Japan.
Like we had a game in Korea. Like I think a couple of days back, it eclipsed CryptoKitty in terms of usage on DApp Radar and stuff. I forget the name of it, but yeah, I mean that, and then EOS. There's like EOS Nights and all the EOS games that are coming out that are doing pretty good. But that's cool. It's cool to hear that like NFT activity is really high in Japan.
What do you guys?
Yeah, it's a trend.
What do you guys think about Tron-based games?
I mean, it's the same as EOS to me. To me, EOS and Tron are very similar in terms of technology and architecture. So it's faster than Ethereum and cheaper than Ethereum, and it kind of makes sense from game developer perspective, because it's very difficult to build games on Ethereum now because of fee and speed
and scalability. I think with Loom and the other off-chain scaling solution, things might improve for Ethereum. But I think so far, I think Tron-based games are pretty interesting because I've been playing around. I think one of the most user-friendly blockchain to use. They have this MetaMask equivalent on Tron, and you can click and then you start playing, and it's really fast and quick. But I think for EOS, it's harder. Like I don't see an equivalent browser plugin and all that you can use it. And then you need to have EOS before you can open an account, and then you have to buy CPU, RAM, and it just makes it a bit of a confusion, I would say.
Yeah. So herein lies, I guess, my question. So is the response time on Tron, all that stuff good because there isn't enough dApps on Tron yet? Like, so we have all these projects that are like, we don't know what their maximum capacity is. We figured out what Ethereum's maximum capacity is because of traffic congestion, because due to CryptoKitties and BAT ICO and like status ICO and stuff. But like everything else have they? Do you guys think, or Bobby? I guess you know best. Like from the data, like does traffic on these other blockchain, have they been stress tested enough?
I think for EOS and Tron, I mean, they're using delegated proof of stake, so they can definitely handle a lot more transactions than Ethereum. That's for sure for the time being. I think for Ethereum, the only way to scale these debt-based games would be to use off-chain solutions. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how Loom develops. I think a lot of these NFT games, they are trying to use Loom and other off-chain solutions. But for the time being, I would say EOS and Tron. But then comes the dilemma, right? So because EOS and Tron can handle a lot of transactions, and because these transactions are actually pretty cheap to put on, so whatever numbers that you see on DebRadar on the daily active users and all makes you question if there's actually real users or it's actually done by bots as well.
Mm-hmm. So I think what EOS and Tron need, honestly, is they need a stable coin. They have so much gambling apps on there that I'm like, why don't they have a stable coin? Why would I want to gamble on top of EOS or on top of Tron? So like this double the volatility. But like at least if there's a stable coin, like 1-to-1 pegged EOS to dollar stable coin or like Tron to dollar stable coin, then that'll be fine.
Because YOLO, right? YOLO. You only live once. You gamble and you gamble all out.
Holy shit. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with you on the stablecoin point. I think this year we'll see a lot of growth in stablecoins, and it's not just stablecoins on Ethereum. We'll see stablecoins moving on to the EOS and Tron blockchain. I think Tether recently announced that they moved some of the coins on. They issued some of the coins on Tron blockchain as well, I think.
Oh, did they really?
I think I remember reading about it.
Wow. I wonder where they're storing all their money. What banks? Yeah.
And then they made this announcement recently as well, where instead of each Tether being back 1-to-1 with US dollar, it changed on the website to cash equivalent, and it include loans to other affiliate companies as well. So that's actually a pretty big change in the definition of Tether.
Hey, but honestly, we knew they were doing that all along. It's just that now they changed the wording so that it reflects what they were actually doing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they start being more honest.
Yeah. So I guess a question I have about you, Bobby, is like, what's going on in Malaysia? Like, what's up?
So I think it's pretty interesting. So in Malaysia, the government started to regulate things. So first of all, they start to regulate the number of exchanges, and they are in the process of drafting regulations, and they have shortlisted a number of exchanges that will be regulated, and then I think the next couple of months or so, they'll finalize a list of exchanges that will be regulated. I think at one point they had like 40 over exchanges, a lot of them with small trading volume, but now they've shortlisted it to 22, and then I think they've cut it down further. And also for ICO, they are now in the process of drafting regulations to decide what is good and what can be done or cannot be done. I mean, they have pretty much said that all ICOs are securities in Malaysia, so pretty similar to Japan. I guess this is to some extent good for the market because otherwise there'll be a lot of scams. So now the government is actually, the Securities Commission of Malaysia is actually seeking some feedback from the market, from the industry participants on what the market thinks that how it should be regulated. So that's pretty much the process at this point in time. I guess it's good for the industry that exchanges are getting regulated. A lot of the exchanges couldn't really get a bank account, but if they get regulated and they have a license from the Securities Commission, I guess to some extent it means they are legit, they have been vetted by the government, and they probably can get a bank account. Before that, it was pretty hard to open a bank account. It's pretty hard to buy Bitcoin from an exchange. A lot of people were relying on peer-to-peer marketplace like Local Bitcoins and Remitano. But once this is regulated, you can buy it from a centralized exchange, probably easier after this. So that's interesting. That's the point of view. Exchanges are getting regulated. ICOs are getting regulated as well over here.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when I visited Malaysia and met you guys, CoinGecko team. You guys are mentioning, oh, there are like so many scams nowadays, and and it was pretty bad, right? So
yeah. I guess it's good for the market. I mean, I guess it's the same for Japan. Like the regulators want to take care of their domestic users, right? Like they don't want their local population to get scammed. And so they are trying to do all out to make sure things are done properly. These guys, I mean, one of the requirements is to have a high share capital so that these guys have the money to back things up in case anything goes wrong. So those kind of things, the government want to have investor protection at one of its high priority, right?
Yeah, and that always makes sense, and that's why although I'm not a big fan of Japanese regulation, I try not to blame it on the regulator too much because they have to do their job, and situation was kind of bad in Japan as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, there are not that many people who are that educated. Most people are just using it to trade, and they're not they can't tell what is legit and what is not legit. So to some extent, getting things cleaned up and regulated is like, okay, these are the things that have been vetted by the government, and it's like sort of okay, and like everything else is like at your own risk.
Right. All right, sounds good. Any other questions? We actually covered a lot of topics that we were not planning on, which is good, but we still have a lot of things we can talk about if we want to. But you know, since it's been about an hour already, so we can try to wrap it up. Yeah. Any other last questions or anything?
I mean, it'll be more. I mean, we could talk about it after the recording. It'll be like more of like how we get other people involved, right?
Sure. Yeah, but I think this type of show that talks about what's happening in respective country, because there's a lot of misconception about Japan, and probably I misunderstand a lot of things in Korea, for example, right? So it could be valuable. So if possible, I would like to continue this and invite different guests, people from, I don't know, China, Hong Kong, many others, right?
Yep, it's pretty fun, right?
Yeah, just a fun show. Chill talk. Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right, so I guess that's it for this one.
Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hopefully I'll talk to you guys again and do another one.
All right.
Bye.